Frank Caprio, known to millions as America's nicest judge, passed away on August 20th, 2025, at the age of 88 after a long and difficult battle with pancreatic cancer. His death marked the end of a chapter in American public life, where justice and compassion were not treated as opposites, but as partners. The announcement of his passing sent a wave of grief through communities in Rhode Island and across the globe, where his courtroom decisions had become a symbol of mercy and humanity. In the days following his death, tributes poured in from leaders, citizens, and admirers, but one of the most heartfelt came from actor Leonardo DiCaprio. DiCaprio's words were not those of a performer delivering lines, but of a man sincerely moved by the life and values of someone who had embodied empathy in its truest form. He described Judge Caprio as a beacon of kindness in a world often starved of it, a public servant who reminded us that the law does not have to be cold to be just. DiCaprio's tribute captured what so many felt when they thought of Frank Caprio. He was not simply a judge seated on a bench in Providence, Rhode Island. He was, through his actions, a teacher, a mentor, and even a healer for people who entered his courtroom burdened with shame, poverty, or desperation. Caprio became widely known through the television program Caught in Providence, but his fame was accidental rather than manufactured. He did not seek the camera, yet the camera found him because what he offered the world was so rare: a justice system infused with humanity. DiCaprio noted that it was precisely this authenticity that drew millions of viewers across continents. In a world dominated by sensational news and divisive narratives, Judge Caprio's clips stood out for their simplicity. They showed a man listening, understanding, and often forgiving, not out of naivety, but out of a deep awareness that every person carries a story that deserves to be heard. The significance of DiCaprio's words lies in the fact that they bridge two very different worlds: Hollywood and the judiciary. On the surface, they could not be further apart, but beneath, they share the same thread of storytelling. As an actor, DiCaprio has spent his life telling stories through film, stories of resilience, justice, injustice, and redemption. Judge Caprio, in his own modest courtroom, told stories too. They were not scripted, yet they carried just as much weight. Each person who stood before him became a character in the unfolding drama of life, and his judgments offered lessons not only in law but in morality. When DiCaprio remembered him, it was with the understanding that Caprio's courtroom was more than a legal stage. It was a theater of compassion where humanity was always the protagonist. Frank Caprio's life journey provides context for why he became the man he was. Born to Italian immigrants in Providence, he grew up in a working-class family. His father, a fruit peddler, embodied perseverance, while his mother instilled in him kindness and respect. These humble beginnings left an indelible mark on him. He knew what it meant to struggle, to labor, to survive, and he never forgot those lessons even when he wore the black robe of authority. Unlike many who use power to create distance, Caprio used his position to bridge it. He never looked at defendants as case numbers, but as individuals. This philosophy, rooted in his upbringing, explains why his decisions so often combined accountability with mercy. When DiCaprio reflected on Caprio's legacy, he emphasized the judge's extraordinary ability to treat people with dignity regardless of their circumstances. A single mother unable to pay fines, a veteran struggling to reintegrate into society, an elderly citizen trying to explain a mistake, all of them received not only rulings but compassion. For DiCaprio, who has built his own reputation around advocacy for human rights and the environment, Caprio represented a form of leadership that the world desperately needs. He saw in the judge a reminder that true authority does not lie in how harshly one can punish, but in how wisely one can understand. The cause of Caprio's death, pancreatic cancer, adds a somber note to his story. He fought bravely, and in the final days of his life he even recorded a video message from his hospital bed asking for prayers. This final act spoke volumes about his humility and his bond with the public. He did not seek pity, he sought connection. It was a gesture that aligned with the way he had lived his life, always turning outward, always reminding others that kindness and solidarity are the most enduring legacies one can leave behind. DiCaprio, in reflecting on this moment, pointed out that even in weakness, Caprio demonstrated strength, because he showed the world that vulnerability itself is a form of courage. Judge Caprio's television presence made him a global figure, but his influence extended far beyond the screen. Clips of his rulings became viral on social media, shared by millions who were struck not by the details of the legal process, but by the humanity with which he approached it. DiCaprio acknowledged that this global appeal was a testament to the universality of compassion. No matter the culture, no matter the language, kindness resonates. People from Africa to Asia, from Europe to Latin America, found inspiration in a municipal judge from Providence. This unlikely global reach is part of what makes Caprio's legacy so extraordinary. It proves that when leaders act with humanity, their impact cannot be contained by geography. In considering DiCaprio's tribute, it becomes evident that Judge Caprio's example challenges us all. If a courtroom can become a place of mercy, then so can the stages of our own lives. Whether we are leaders, professionals, or ordinary citizens, we are constantly placed in positions where we must judge others, form opinions, make decisions, offer help or withhold it. Caprio's approach teaches that in these moments, compassion is not a weakness, but a strength. DiCaprio, with his platform as a global actor, amplified this lesson by highlighting that kindness is the true currency of respect. Fame fades, power shifts, but compassion endures. Caprio's passing also raises questions about what legacy really means. Some legacies are built on monuments, titles, or wealth. Caprio's legacy rests on moments. Moments when he forgave, when he laughed, when he chose to see the person instead of the offense. These moments, broadcast around the world, will continue to shape how people think about justice. DiCaprio's remembrance of him serves to underline that legacy is not about scale, but about sincerity. A municipal judge in one city, through acts of genuine humanity, managed to touch hearts worldwide. The actor also pointed out that Caprio never allowed his growing fame to change him. In an age where celebrity often distorts humility, Caprio remained grounded. He did not play to the cameras, and he did not use his show for personal glory. His focus was always on the people in front of him. DiCaprio admired this quality because it mirrored something he himself has strived for: authenticity in a world obsessed with appearances. The judge's humility, even in the face of worldwide recognition, became part of the reason why people trusted him. Caprio's death leaves behind a grieving family. His wife Joyce, his 5 children, his grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. But it also leaves behind millions of adopted mourners who felt they knew him through his courtroom. The grief of his family is intimate, but the grief of the public is communal, and both stem from the same source: the rare privilege of having known someone who made the world feel kinder. DiCaprio's tribute, in giving voice to this grief, becomes more than just a statement. It becomes a collective eulogy on behalf of all who were touched by Caprio's example. It is important to note that Judge Caprio's kindness was not sentimental or superficial. It was deliberate. He believed that the law without compassion is incomplete. His rulings demonstrated that accountability can coexist with understanding, that one can uphold the law without stripping away dignity. This belief challenges conventional notions of justice and forces us to rethink how we apply authority in every aspect of life. DiCaprio's admiration for this balance is clear in his words. He saw in Caprio not just a judge, but a reformer, someone who reminded society that systems are only as good as the humanity within them. As we reflect on the arc of Frank Caprio's life, framed through the lens of DiCaprio's tribute, we see a man who transformed ordinary moments into extraordinary lessons. His death on August 20th, 2025, marks the end of his physical journey, but his influence continues to ripple outward. The actor's words remind us that we are all capable of honoring Caprio's memory not just by mourning him, but by emulating him. Every act of kindness, every moment of patience, every instance where we choose to understand rather than condemn is a continuation of the legacy he left behind.